Okay, for today's discussion class under basic accounting, we are now in the week 2. Okay, and this week 2 is about accounting entries and accounting terminologies. Okay, so the learning outcomes are student will now know the rules in accounting entries. Okay, alam niyo na ngayon, i-discuss sa inyo yan. So matututo na kayo talagang mag-accounting entries. So pagka natapos kayo sa AMA, you can apply in the accounting department. Madali na sa inyo yan. Okay? And then to be able to understand the different situations where the account will be debited and when it will be credited. Okay? So related din sa accounting entries, debit and credit. And then you can define the different terminologies in accounting. And to give importance about the given terminologies in accounting. What are debits and credits? Okay? The debits and credits are the double entry system. Okay? A debit side must have a corresponding credit side entry. In short class, kung ikaw ay mag-entry, when you do an entry, kailangan merong debit and credit. And it should always be equal. The question is, ma'am, is tag-isang debit lang ba tsaka tag-isang credit? No. You can make several debit entry and one credit entry. It depends on the transaction. As long as the total debits in terms of money are equal to the total credits. Okay? So next week, I will show you on how to journalize transaction. At may intindihan nyo kung ano talaga itong debit and credit. Okay? Debit is simply when I will ask you what is debit, simply answer me that it is on the left side. And it is a Latin word that means deber. And credit are on the right side with abbreviation of CR with in the Latin word creder. Bakit natin minention ang Latin? Because these are the double entry system started at the time sa Italy, okay? Si Father Pacioli. So, hindi sa Pilipinas nag-originate yan, okay? So that's why it's Latin, okay? These are just information. Okay. The rules of debits and credits, okay, are the following. Under balance sheet accounts, you have assets, you have liabilities, and you have owner's equity. So may mga accounts yan. Yung assets, may mga several accounts. Mamaya makikita nyo. Sa medyo hindi natin discussion. Ano-ano yung mga assets. Okay? Then, balik tayo. Let's go back here in the assets. When assets are increasing, nadadagdagan, okay, your entry should be debit. And when it is decreasing, your entry should be credit. Okay? While in liabilities, when it is increasing, should be credited. And when it is decreasing, it should be debited. In owner's equity, same thing with liabilities. Pag nag-i-increase credit, and then pag nag-i-increase credit, pag nag-decrease debit. Okay? Then we have also the income account statements. In the income account statements, expenses and income. So expenses accounts, when increasing, should be debited. And when decreasing, should be credited. While in income accounts, when it is increasing, it should be credited. And when it is decreasing, it should be debited. Okay? So, kung nag-increase, credit. Kung nagdi-decrease, debit. Okay? Alin sa mga accounts na asset, liabilities, owner's equity, expenses, and income ang magkakaparehas ng entries. Okay? Ang magkakaparehas, para madali niyong tandaan, okay? Para mas madali sa inyo ang mag-entry ay ang assets, ang expenses magkaparehas. Okay? Magkaparehas sila na kapag nag-i-increase, debit. At kapag nag-decrease ay credit. So yung dalawa na yan, asset and expenses. Okay? While the liabilities, owner's equity, and the income, kapag nag-i-increase ay credit. Kapag naman nag-decrease ay debit. So yan ang kontra nila, okay? In terms of entries. Okay. So please take note that when I will ask you what is the normal balance of cash, and since cash is under assets, ang sasagot nyo sa akin kung saan siya nag-i-increase. For example, what is the normal balance of cash? The answer is debit balance. Why? Kung saan ang normal balance, kung saan nag-i-increase, doon yung kanya normal balance. Okay? For example naman, liabilities, accounts payable. Okay? What is the normal balance of accounts payable? The normal balance is credit. Why credit? Because it is on the credit side that nag-i-increase si liabilities. Okay? So dito, minention din na ang withdrawal, though it is part of equity, ang normal balances niya ay debit. Exemption siya. Okay? Kasi sa debit siya nag-i-increase and decreasing on the credit side. Though this withdrawal account is under owner's equity. Okay? So let's first define the accounting events and transactions. Accounting events is an economic occurrence that causes changes in an enterprise's assets, liabilities, and equity. While transactions involves the transfer of something between two entities. O, ano ibig sabihin yan? Okay? So, pag accounting events, ibig sabihin, yung mga activities related doon sa company na merong financial value, okay? May changes sa, pag nag-entry ka, may changes sa assets, may changes sa liabilities, may changes sa equity. Ngayon, ang transaction naman, okay, because you do transaction is an agreement between two parties. So, kung walang two parties, walang transaction. So, halimbawa, si Company A, bumili siya ng supplies kay Company B. So, si A, nagkaroon siya ng supplies, si Company B naman ay nagkaroon siya ng sales. Okay? Yan ang ibig sabihin nun. Transaction between two entities. Account can be categorized. Okay? Diba meron tayong kanina isang category in the balance sheet accounts and in the income statement accounts. Okay? But in account category, we have this. Okay? I-mention natin siya ulit. Babalikan natin hindi siya. Okay? So, account category, we have assets, liabilities, and owner's equity. So, tatlo lang talaga yung pinaka-major niya. Because under owner's equity, owner's capital is under this owner's equity. Withdrawals are also under owner's equity, as well as the income accounts and the expense account. Why? Because at the end of the accounting period, whatever is the result of the operation that it resulted from the income statement and expense will be forwarded to the owner's equity. Okay. There are types and effects of transactions. Okay. One is that the sources of assets. Okay. Sources are assets. Ano example niyan? When you purchase of supplies on account and sold goods on cash. Okay? So, ibig sabihin niyang class, nagbenta ka pero utang. Okay? O nagbenta ka pero cash. And ito namang isa ay bumili ka pero utang. Okay? So, later, makikita nyo kung anong entry ang dapat natin gawin. Okay? For example, purchase of supplies. Eh, di anong magkakaroon ka? Magkakaroon ka ng supplies, pero accounts naman, and that is accounts payable. Okay? So, but let's have first the theory. Okay? And then, exchange of assets. Okay? That means there is an acquired equipment for cash. So, bumili ka ng equipment, meron ka ding asset na ipinalit, and that is your cash. Bumili ka ng equipment, nagkaroon ka ng equipment, pero nabawasan naman ang iyong cash. And equipment and cash are both assets. Kaya ang sinasabi niya dito, there is only an exchange of assets in the transactions. Okay, the next one is the use of assets. Okay. This example is that you settled accounts payable and then you paid salaries. But you use your assets like what? Your cash. Cash is an asset. You use that in paying your accounts payable. You use your cash in paying your salaries. So there is the use of assets. And the next one is exchange of claims. Okay? Receive utilities billed but did not pay. Okay? Yung claim, yung utang, nagpalitan lang kayo. Okay? So, si A ay nagkaroon siya ng utilities like electricity bill. Okay? So, anong nakuha niya? The expense na electricity. Pero ito namang pero hindi naman niya binayaran. So, that is accounts payable. So, on the part naman ng Meralco, that is their accounts receivable. So, nag-exchange lang kayo ng claim. Okay? Now, let's have the terminologies. Okay? So, balikan natin. Ano ba tong assets na kanina pa nating mini-mention? Okay? Assets class is cash or cash equivalent. Okay? Bakit tinawag na cash or cash equivalent? Eh kasi lahat ng mga assets na nandiyan sa company, sa loob ng company ay meron siyang equivalent in terms of money. Okay? Kaya tinawag siya ng cash or cash equivalent. Okay? So assets should be categorized into current assets. Okay? And what are those? Okay. Under current assets, we have the cash. Yung cash mismo, yun yung mismong dinideposit natin sa bangko. It can be coins, it can be bills, it can be check, it can be demands draft, it can be manager's check. Anything that has face value in terms of money and are accepted by the bank for deposits. Hindi lang kasi ang cash kasi hindi lang talaga yung cold cash. Okay? Even the checks are cash. Then, so that is cash. And then the notes receivable are written pledge that the customer will pay the business a fixed amount of money on a certain date. Okay. In short class, notes receivable ay pautang. Okay, may pautang ka na talagang in written. Okay, at doon ay may kasunduan kayo kung kailan siya magbabayad at kung magkano ang ibabayad niya. Okay? So, maliwanag yon na meron kayong notes, may pirmahan, meron sulatan. Kaya tinawag na notes. Okay? Another terminology under assets, okay, are accounts receivable. Ano yung accounts receivable? These are claims against customer arising from sale of services or goods on credit. Okay, pagka ikaw ay nagbenta ng walang na-receive na cash, ibig sabihin, nagpautang ka. Okay? So, ang tawag doon sa pautang mo sa accounting, binigyan natin siya ng pangalan na account, ay yun ay accounts receivable. That is an asset. Okay? So, accounts receivable siya. Kaya tinawag siyang accounts receivable class, ito ay gagamitin mo lang kung ang transaction ay sale of services or goods. Okay? For example, ang negosyo mo ay spa. Okay? Meron kang client, binigyan mo ng service, pero hindi siya nagbayad in the amount of 1,000. So, siya meron kang pautang na 1,000. O, in terms naman ng goods, o nagtitinda ka ng bigasan ka, okay? May bumili sa'yo ng 2 kaban na bigas at wala namang binigay na pera, okay? That is accounts receivable because that is your business, yung selling ng mga bigas, okay? So, gagamitin mo lang yung accounts receivable when it is related to the sale of services or goods, okay? Another terminology is inventories. Okay. Inventories are held for sale in the ordinary course of business. It is in the process of production for such sale and in the form of materials and supplies to be consumed in the production process. So in short class, inventories, kung ang negosyo mo ay merchandising, of course, bibili ka ng paninda na goods and then ibibenta mo rin. Okay? Ibibenta mo rin yung item na meron ka ng additional profit. Okay? Meron ka ng markup. Okay? So that is, yung binili mo, that is ang tawag doon ay inventories. In short, in Tagalog, paninda. Okay? What about naman yung inventory sa production? Ang inventory sa production ay yung finished goods. For example, ang business mo ay bakery. Okay? Ano ang inventories mo? E di yung mga finished na bread na ginawa mo, na binake mo, okay? Na ibibenta mo rin. Pero you produce that. Okay? You produce that. Okay? And that is your inventory. And aside from that, you will also have inventories on your ingredients. Okay? Yung mga supplies na ginagamit mo in your production process. Okay? So these are under inventories. Okay. Another type of assets class is a prepaid expenses. Okay? Prepaid expenses, that means the business paid it in advance. Okay? For example, yung rental niya, okay? Yung rental niya ay binayaran niya ng advance. Okay? Binayaran niya ng 6 months. O, bagay mo 10,000 per month. Ang binayad niya 60,000. Okay? So, meron siyang advance na ngayon pa lang siya nagbayad, ang starting niya, kunwari, December 1. Okay, nagbayad na siya. Di come December 30, doon pa lang ang isang buwan niya. Okay, so December 1, may prepaid expenses siya na rental in the amount of 60,000. Okay, upon payment, meron siyang prepaid expenses na 60,000. Come December 30, syempre, hindi na siya prepaid. Magiging rental expense na siya. Okay? So, hanggat hindi pa siya napo-consume, ang tawag doon ay prepaid. And these are under assets, current accounts. Okay. Bakit class kailangan pa ihiwalay ang current assets from non-current? Okay? Kasi ang current assets ay assets that can be converted into cash in a period of 1 year. Okay? So kung bawa itong prepaid na yan, good for 1 year yan, kaya in-under siya ng current assets. Accounts receivable, as well as the inventories and the cash. Okay? Bakit? Kasi pagka nag-analyze ka ng business mo in terms of your liquidity, you will be needing the total amount of your current assets. Okay? So, going back here. So, now let's have the non-current assets. Of course, kung hindi siya current, edi non-current siya. Okay? Ano yung mga non-current? Like property, plant, and equipment. Okay? So, property, plant, and equipment, of course, we know that these are tangible assets. Yung talagang nakikita natin, nagagamit natin. Ginagamit sa production, ginagamit din sa admin. Okay, like what? Machineries, okay? Yung mga furniture and fixtures natin, yung mga aircon, okay? So, part siya ng mga equipment. And then, we have also the accumulated depreciation. Okay, ano tong account na to? Plus, this is a contra account of this account. Okay? Kasi, pag bumili ka kunwari ng machineries, okay, yung machineries mo na binili mo ay nagkakahalaga ng 2 million. Okay? Ngayong December 5 mo, December 3 mo binili. Okay? So, the 2 million yan. Kapag pa-record mo yan sa libro mo, ilalagay mo machineries expense agad. Of course, it is an asset. Okay? Pero, yung mga asset na yan, yung mga plant equipment na yan, yung machineries na yan, hindi rin naman forever na use siya. Pwede siyang gamitin. Meron din siyang tinatawag na life. Okay? For example, that machineries na 2 million, okay, hindi mo siya gagawing expense na 2 million right there and then. Okay? So, hahati-hatiin mo yung gastos niyan. Baka naman yung 2 million na yan ay good for 10 years. So, kung 10 years yan, 2 million divided by 10, edi 200,000 lang ang gastos mo. Okay? So, sa loob ng isang taon. So, kung kukuha ka ng depreciation, i-divide mo pa yun ng 12 months. And you will be using this account, accumulated depreciation. Kaya sinasabi niya, kontra siya nito. Okay? So at least you know that yan ang niya, medyo hindi mo pa siya talagang makita in the total view, no? Total overview ng pinag-usapan natin. But later ma-analyze nyo din yan. Of course, but we need to introduce this to all of you class para alam nyo na meron palang accumulated depreciation. And that is a contra account. Okay? And then intangible assets, okay, meron pa rin intangible assets under assets, and these are without physical substance. Ibig sabihin, hindi mo siya nakikita, pero alam mo nandun siya. Like what? Okay? Yung mga company iba, nag-declare sila ng goodwill. Okay? Like especially in partnership. Okay? So kung nag-declare sila ng goodwill, and goodwill is an intangible assets, tataas ang capital ng mga partners. Okay? Magiging part siya ng capital yung goodwill. Though wala siya talagang, hindi siya binili. But because of the reputation of the company, okay, nag-usap sila, okay, let's sabihin goodwill para pampataas din ng assets nila sa financial statement. Okay? Okay, now we can have the liabilities. Liabilities, in short, these are utang. Okay? So, again, we will be using the current liabilities as one of the categories. Okay? So under current liabilities, we have the accounts payable. So ano itong accounts payable na to? It represents the reverse relationship of the accounts receivable. Okay? Kung kanina, yung accounts receivable natin ay tayo ang nagpautang, tayo ay may pautang, eto naman ikaw ang nangutang. Okay? For example, bumili ka ng machineries and you cannot pay it in cash. So, ang mangyayari sa iyo ay meron kang accounts payable. May utang ka. Okay? Then notes payable again, it's also reversed ng notes receivable. This time ikaw naman din ang may utang at there is a written agreement. Okay? And then accrued liabilities, iba ito. Okay? An accrued liabilities class, it is an amount owed to others for unpaid expenses. For example, okay, accrued liabilities. For example, yung nagkaroon ng salaries, expense na hindi na-record. Okay? Hindi siya na-record pero na-incurred siya. Okay? Kunwari, tayo ay kumukuha ng service ng isang agency. Okay? So, ina-outsource ng agency na yan yung mga janitorial services. Okay? Nung isang buwan pa yun, pero hindi naman natin siya na-take up. So because of that, meron tayong utang doon sa agency na nagbibigay ng service sa atin ng mga janitorial. So ang tawag doon ay accrued liabilities. Okay? Ang next one is also a kind of liabilities that is unearned revenue. Okay? Unearned revenue receives payment before providing its customers with goods or services. Okay. Ibig sabihin naman nito, class, tayo as the owner, we receives the payment pero hindi pa tayo nagbibigay ng serbisyo. Kunwari, tayo spa. Okay? Nagpo-provide tayo sa spa ang business natin. Okay? Pumunta si Maria, nagbayad siya ng 1,000 para lang magpa-facial. Pero hindi naman natin na-facial si Maria. Okay? Kasi nagsara na tayo o naubusan tayo nung kailangan niyang cream. So, bayad siya ng 1,000 and that is unearned revenue. Na-receive ng payment pero hindi pa nabigay ang service. O same thing with the goods. O halimbawa, may bibili sa'yo ng bigas. Natanggap mo na yung bayad niya pero hindi mo pa naman nabibigay yung bigas. Okay, that is unearned revenue. And then we also have the current portion of long portion of mortgage notes. Okay. So kasi kaya minention ito dahil under non-current liabilities, these are the mortgage, the loan. Okay? And usually mortgage is more than 1 year. So, but merong portion nun ng mortgage na yan or ng bonds na yan na payable in how many years, ang portion niyang ibang yan ay nasa current liabilities. So, we still have to take that up in order for us to arrive with accurate financial statement. Okay? So, moving forward. Now, we have the non-current liabilities as I have said. Okay? Kung yung mortgage payable, these are long-term debt with certain security. Okay? Magpe-pledge ka ng security mo. Like for example, nangutang ka sa bangko ng 5 million, bibigay mo sa bangko yung iyong title ng lupa mo. Okay? So, lalagyan ng annotation yung lupa mo na yung lupa mo na yon ay naka-mortgage doon sa bangko na yon. Ang tawag dyan ay mortgage payable. And that is a long term. Okay? And then funds payable, ang funds payable class is that you need additional capital. So, and you don't want to borrow money in the bank, okay, or in any other financial institution. So what will you do is that you offer a bond doon sa mga interested na investors. And that bond is payable for a longer period of time. So meron lang kayong agreement na every year dapat meron kang interest na babayaran doon sa mga nag-avail ng bond na inoffer ng company mo. Okay? Under owner's equity, okay, kung sakaling mawala tayo sa air, dahil si Sum nagsabi na siya in 10 minutes, please log in again. Okay? Baka pwede pa tayo mag-log in. Okay? So, I will continue. Under owner's equity, okay, okay, under owner's equity, we have the capital and the withdrawals. Okay. Simply, when you say capital, these are your investment as the owner. Nung nagbukas ka ng kumpanya, yan ang capital mo. Unang-una pa lang capital mo niya, okay? Pwedeng nagkapital ka ng 1,000,000 na cash, nagkapital ka ng land mo, ginamit mo yung land mo, or ginamit mo din yung iyong vehicle. So these are your capital. Nung in operation na yung business mo, after 2 years, nangailangan ka ng additional capital, so pwede pa rin. Okay? So, pag naglagay ka ng additional capital, you will be using again the capital account. Okay? And the withdrawals na na-explain na natin kanina. Okay? Bakit nagkakaroon ng withdrawal accounts? These withdrawal accounts, okay, is to be used in order that the drawing, okay, will not be directly reducing the owner's equity. Halimbawa, si company A, okay, kailangan niya ng cash for personal use in the amount of 10,000. Wala siyang dala, pero yung company, yung business niya, meron 10,000 dun sa, na petty cash, okay, na available. So, kukunin muna yung 10,000 ni company A, pero for personal use, kaya ang tawag dun ay withdrawal. Kaya ginagamit tong account na to para wag directly gamitin itong si capital account. Okay, para hindi gamitin. Okay, and that is the guideline in accounting. You cannot use directly the capital account in any withdrawal. So you will be using the withdrawal account. Okay, so that's under income statement naman, okay? Let's have the income statement accounts, okay? Under income statement, we have the account, service income, and sales, okay? We will be using service income if our business is about services. Like for example, yung spa, okay? Pag nagbigay ka ng serbisyo ng spa, use the service income in your revenue. While in sales, these are to be used in a merchandising. Kung goods ang binibenta mo. Okay? Kung halimbawa, nagbibenta ka ng bigas, okay? Ang tawag doon ay sales. Kung nagpo-produce ka ng bread in your bakery, ang tawag doon, at nakabenta ka, ang tawag doon ay sales. Now, we have the last one, we have the expenses, okay? Expenses, ang dami niyan, okay? So, we have one is cost of sales, okay? Ang cost of sales class, okay? These are the direct costs of the item that you are going to produce, okay? Or to produce, or you bought that item for sales. Ang tawag doon ay cost of sales. In Tagalog, yung gastos lang na directly doon sa item na binibenta mo. Ang tawag dyan ay cost of sales. Meron ba niyan ang service? Wala. Okay. Yun lang, goods ang binibenta. Okay. Kung nagpo-produce o bumibili ka at binibenta mo rin. Okay. Cost of sales. And then salaries, okay. Alam naman natin yan, okay, that kung meron kang empleyado, of course, you need to pay them. And that payment is salaries. Telecommunications, okay, that is also being incurred by the company, like teleponos, yung Wi-Fi, subscription, okay, electricity, fuel, and water. So, this mentioned expenses, you will be using the account telecommunication, electricity, fuel, and water expenses. Okay? Ang haba ng account, ano? Pero at least you will be using only one account for all of these expenses. And then rent expense. Okay? You don't have a building, so you nag-rent ka for your business, then you will have the rent expense. Or if not naman the building, machineries, nag-rent ka pa rin, or warehouse, again, that is rent expense. Next, supplies expense, okay, using in the supplies in the conduct of your business. Kung ikaw, sa opisina mo, di ba, kailangan mo ng pen, ng ink, ng computer, ng printer, ng mga bond paper, ng kung ano-ano pa, notebooks, okay. These are categorized under supplies expense. And then insurance in fire insurance or vehicle. Okay, yung company class is lagi silang after sa insurance. Para kung ano mangyari, meron pa silang fallback. Okay? So insurance, even take note, even the items that you manufacture can also be insured, especially yung mga nasa export company. Okay, let's go back. Okay, we are now on the last account. These are the expenses. Okay, so going back in the first account, the first account in the expenses is the cost of sales. Okay, so as I've said, this account can be used if you are producing a product na for sale. Okay, or you are under merchandising that you engage in buying and selling. Okay, and then so we're done with salaries, telecommunication, rent expense, and supplies. What about the insurance? As I've said, insurance, okay, especially in class yung mga export companies, talagang marami silang insurance expense. Why? For example, producer sila ng mga gloves. So, pag yan ay dadalhin sa ibang parte ng mundo, like for example, in Canada or in USA, yung traveling niya, okay, meron naka-insured yan. Why? Para whatever happens doon at the time na siniship siya, secured pa rin yung paninda mo, yung iyong commodities. Okay? For example, yung isinip mo worth 10 million, tapos nagkaroon ng bagyo. Okay? Doon palang sa Manila natin, doon sa Port of Manila, nabasa ngayon yung item mo. Okay? Hindi mo na pwedeng iparating sa Canada. So, ang mangyayari nun ay the insurance will be the one to pay you noong 10 million na goods mo because you are paying this insurance. Okay? So, aside from the vehicle na meron din insurance and also the company itself, yung buong kumpanya naka-insured pa rin yung the building. Okay? Para in case of fire, kung magkano yung mga nandoon na nasa lagay doon sa loob ng kanyang building, ay babayaran nyo ng insurance. Okay, depreciation, ito yung accumulated depreciation that we have just discussed a while ago. Ito yung partner niya. So, depreciation expense, debit, then credit, accumulated depreciation. Yun ang partner nun, okay? Then, uncollectible. Uncollectible accounts are receivables estimated to be doubtful. Okay? So, di ba meron it's a normal thing na yung mga pautang minsan na hindi nababayaran na, hindi na nakokolekta. So, in accounting, nagbibigay tayo ng provision dyan. Okay? We considered na yung ibang utang natin, yung ibang pautang ay hindi yan mababayaran. And pag hindi siya nabayaran, yung ating accounts receivable, then it will become an expense. And then interest expense, An expense related to use of borrowed funds. Okay? Nangutang ka sa bangko ng loan, of course, you are obliged to pay interest expense. Okay? So that's it. So next meeting, we will be doing the journal entries. So magbibigay ako ng mga sample ng end ng transaction, tapos magbibigay tayo ng entries. Okay? Para mas maintindihan natin, ano ba ito sinasabi ni ma'am na increase in debit, increase in ano, okay. Increase in debit, increase in credit, okay. So ia-apply natin yan next week through journalizing. Okay?